Hello, Steve. It's Steve Houlihan here. I'm joined today by Steve Arrowsmith. I'll ask Steve to just tell us a little bit about himself and what he does in a moment. And then we're going to have a discussion about a project that Steve took charge of back in the autumn of 2020 with the support of the Medway Innovation Institute. So, Steve, would you first of all just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Steve Arrowsmith, Head of Emergency Preparedness, Resilience Response for the Trust. Emergency preparedness, what does that mean? That means that any emergency, any business continuity event, we should be prepared for. And part of my role is preparing us for that with each of the services. And then if something does happen adverse to the trust, whether it's flood, fire, COVID, then I make sure that we've got the correct procedures in place to be able to respond.
Thanks, Steve. Can you tell us a little bit about what the project you brought to the Medway Innovation Institute was? What were you trying to achieve?
Yeah, certainly. So I started here about 2 years ago now, and at that point, every trust across the country should have an incident control room, an ICC. I was actually working at that point. I was working out the canteen. It was a function that hadn't quite found its ground in the trust. So I applied to the institute for some money so that we could create an instant control room.
Yeah, you were working out of the canteen. It wasn't quite by the tea bar, was it? But it wasn't too far away from that, from my memory.
No, I wasn't that lucky. There were a few people that were closer that probably had a better inside word than me.
Yeah, I've got some snaps that we took of the room you identified. It was basically a bare hulk, wasn't it, that you needed to move into. I remember you telling me as well at the time that the first wave of COVID in 2020, March 2020 onwards, you used that sort of facility, didn't you, to manage things then, and that really brought home to you the need to actually get that, I suppose, professional updated version of it to go forward.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. So we had a room that could be set up up in the Trafalgar suite. Unfortunately, that's 3 floors or certainly 3 lots of stairs up. So when you're trying to pull all your responders together, the response in the morning's fine, but as the day goes on and those stairs kick in, people are a little bit less enthused to attend the incident. And what we were looking for was this room, and this room is right across from the site office, and the site office is where the hospital runs from. So this used to be a kitchen, and what the institute allowed us to do was refurb this room into a working ICC that's on the ground floor, that's at the front of the hospital, so that if fire or police need to attend, it's very easy for them to know where to go as soon as they get on site.
So it's very much also thinking about your partners in the broader resilience community and getting them involved.
Absolutely. The Kent Resilience Forum, which is a mixture of all responders, like Blue Light Services, the council and whatnot, they have these setups across their individual kind of like teams, and they would expect professionalism to have a professional base to be able to run an incident from.
Tell us about your kind of your interaction then with the Medway Innovation Institute. What happened there? How did they help you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I applied for this, and seeing COVID coming, I mean, we were a couple of months into it, and we had a room of bare bones, but it wasn't sufficient enough. Knowing, or having a little bit of foresight, knowing that this thing was going to get worse, we didn't know it was going to get quite as bad as this. We knew we needed a professional setup. So I applied to the institute, and kind of explained the idea, the kind of vision that we had for the room. And then, yeah, I think we went from there. The application was accepted. A little bit of challenge from a few of you guys at the institute, and rightly so. It's public money at the end of the day. And then, yeah, absolutely, we went from there. I think it was okayed probably after the first meeting, and then the money was allocated, which allowed us to sort of kit out this space.
Yeah, well, and we can see some of the kit behind you now, can't we? So it's all looking impressive. How beneficial has it been having this new kit and this new kitted out room?
Oh, incredible. And it's a focal point. It gives strength to those responders that, say, for instance, the people that are on, we call them senior managers on call, SMOCs, or directors on call. So they're the ones that get the call in the middle of the night. For them to have somewhere like this, it gives that confidence that the technology is there. They haven't got to fight another thing during an incident. But during the day, I mean, when we had the Kent variant, a lot of the meetings were in this space just because it was that focal point that allowed, should we need to research something, should we need to look on Twitter what was going on, should we need to see what was going on with beds out in the community, should we need to see what's going on in the middle of winter in terms of snow. We've got the Met forecast up constantly behind me. So it's spaces that are created, that are already stood up, that allow just that ease of decision making without having to worry about the nonsense that could interfere with that.
Yeah, it obviously got very sticky there in January and February, and there's nothing we can do about that in some ways. But the incident room at least enabled you to kind of feel that that part wasn't stopping you doing things, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be clear, this is the incident room. However, this very much works with site in a kind of, there's an invisible corridor between those two rooms. Site would then sort of run the rest of the hospital, but the focus of an incident, especially when it got quite bad for that Kent variant, this was the place, this was the hub of that information that was dealing with what was going on.
Yeah, so it sounds like there was real benefits ultimately to patients, to our partners, and to our staff. That comes over strongly there, Steve. Thanks. Just from the Medway Innovation Institute point of view, how helpful was it having the institute behind you to make this happen?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, I couldn't have done this on my own, and to have that network of people like yourself, like Jenny, who's offering some advice, you know, and Sophie. It took a little bit of pressure off getting something that we definitely needed. Definitely, it was something that was going to enhance, you know, the care for the patients, the way staff dealt with incidents. But to have that network behind me to, you know, just to push things along, and sometimes even just to push me, to keep me honest.
Yeah, that's an important part of our role. Well, thanks, Steve. That's been really interesting. I'm so pleased to hear that things have gone well with the changes. And you know, thank you for all your support that you've also given to us. So thanks very much, Steve, and we'll sign off there.
Thanks, Steve.